Rafah is fighting back its panic. Desperate Palestinians are trying to decide if flight should be their last refuge. As Israel draws up plans for a ground offensive, the United Nations aid chief is warning that the crisis could lead to a slaughter. Even as it has been bombarding Rafah with airstrikes for weeks, Israel says it is committed to a ground offensive. Hungry and displaced Palestinians, mostly women and children, are lining up outside Gaza charities to feed their families. But it remains unclear when a ground offensive would unfold, and that uncertainty is adding to anxiety among Palestinians in Rafah about where to go and what to do.
The situation here in Rafah is tragic. The situation is indescribable. Men don't have money to buy from the market. Even if we try to get tomatoes or potatoes or pepper, we can't. One doesn't have money to buy either.
A growing number of countries and international organizations are scrambling to convince Israel to halt its offensive. The World Health Organization said a military offensive against Rafah will cause an unfathomable catastrophe and push the enclave's health system closer to the brink of collapse.
Military activities in this area, this densely populated areas, would be, of course, an unfathomable catastrophe and an enormous, would even further expand the humanitarian disaster beyond imaginations.
Last week, Prime Minister Netanyahu directed the country's military to plan for the evacuation of the population from Rafah. He said the Israel Defense Forces will soon go into Rafah, Hamas's last bastion. Israeli officials have requested United Nations aid agencies to help with efforts to evacuate civilians from Gaza war zones.
We wish to make an urgent appeal to the international community. It is time for you to help protect civilians in Gaza from the Hamas terrorists who are trying to use them as human shields.
Over 1.3 million people are now crammed into a sprawling tent city parked against the Egyptian border in Rafah. The border is the only normally safe space for Palestinians fleeing the north and center of Gaza. Fearing Gazans will be pushed across, Egypt has reinforced its borders with the city. For Egypt, the prospect of millions of Palestinians pouring into the country brings memories of the 2008 border crisis. That was the year when hundreds of Gazans entered Egypt after the border wall was blown out and torn down. While Israeli media has previously reported some level of coordination, Egypt had denied reports alleging any security coordination between the countries on the Philadelphia corridor. Well, for more on this, our business editor Rahul Karunanakar spoke to Afshin Molavi, who is a senior fellow at Johns Hopkins University, and this is what he had to say.
Certainly on a higher heat than it has been in the past, although the pressure has been pretty high over the past month or two as well, and Prime Minister Netanyahu has not stopped. So there is no indication that he will. In fact, he has talked about moving forward with the ground offensive. Look, at the end of the day, he's made it clear. He wants hostages to be released. There is now a plan on the table that was negotiated by Egypt, Qatar, and the United States, a framework in which they're going to present to Israel and Hamas for a 6-month temporary ceasefire with some hostages released. Now, it remains to be seen whether Netanyahu is going to accept that, but that's essentially going further than we have seen in the past with these plans.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.